Thanks for coming in, Dave. Appreciate
Alright,
it.
thanks, Lewis. Thanks for having me.
No, it's good for you. Good to come in and have a chat about, I guess, yourself, your campaign, a bit about
Life in
Jack's
general.
stuff, life in general.
What are you going to talk to me about? What do you want to ask me?
I mean, should we start with just the main thing, the big thing you've got going on, which
Yep.
is Curb the Rage?
It's an initiative we come up with. Well, actually, I kind of spawned it. I've always got stupid ideas swirling around in my head, and and then I talked to John about it, and he goes, "That's probably something we could do." After we won Bathurst in 2017, I was driving home, and I'm like, "What can I do with this?" Like, you know, you get a big profile after you do something like that, and what's something I can probably give back? And one thing I've never really understood within my own experience of life is road rage. I
Yep.
don't understand it. I've never felt the need to like start abusing people.
Not when you were younger?
No,
No?
I've never really
Okay.
got into it. Nah,
Yeah.
it's something that's evaded me. So the last probably few years living in Melbourne, every time you turn on the news, there's another road rage incident. People get out with baseball bats, try and beat each other up. And it just looks stupid. It just makes no sense to me
Grand
whatsoever.
Theft Auto in real life.
Yeah, it's like real
crazy.
bizarre.
Yeah.
There's all these campaigns about speed, drink driving, drug driving, and none of it really affects me because I don't, maybe except the speeding part, but we won't talk about that.
It's your job, it's fine.
The other ones don't really affect me, so you know, this is something that is kind to my heart, and yeah.
It's weird when you see people, when you see that road rage, and I think I definitely get it. You know, you're driving along. If you're driving for an hour and someone starts driving 10k under the limit or 5k under the limit,
Yeah.
it just frustrates. It's like pure frustration.
does, yeah.
And sitting back and taking a second and going,
Does it really matter?
why? Yeah,
Does it
who
really
cares
matter?
about the 5k an hour? It's going
Yeah.
to save me 3 seconds at the end of my trip. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
sometimes you sit there and you go, oh, I could be doing the extra 10. And you do the maths. You're like, well, there's about 50k left, and
Yeah.
it's not going to save me that much time. So don't be
Exactly
too
right.
worried.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like one of my crazy ideas to come up with, and we've been working through it for about 2 years now, and it's just come to life.
Well, you've got some really
recently.
interesting stuff coming out. Like you've got the chill.
Yeah, well, that's the first part of it.
Yeah, the first part. But
air
I saw
freshener.
the spray ad that you had,
yeah.
or at least a little snippet of it falling off the.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
You know, all those like celebrity people have like
Their own scent.
their own scent,
Yeah.
and their ads make no sense whatsoever. That was what we come up with.
Have
So-
you got some like a series of videos coming out based around that?
Yeah, we've still got a couple more coming out. Yeah, we've still got a couple more coming out. I've always got crazy ideas and floating around in my head that I need to put into action.
Excited to see that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. It's
I think I'm quite a creative person.
Yeah.
I think so.
Are you doing all right?
Well, I used to be way more creative when I was younger. Then I kind of got trapped in the sport mentality, and racing is quite technical and it's about numbers and science and that. And then I've kind of drifted away from my creative side.
I think it's really cool that you've taken, an increased profile, kind of, I guess, more fame and the social power that comes with that, and trying
Yeah.
to do something positive and useful with it. You know, sometimes you see people who just are destructive with that kind of
Yes.
situation.
Yeah.
I think it's really
Can go
cool that-
either way.
Exactly, and you know they start just doing silly stuff in the public eye and kind of normalizes it. But when you see someone taking it and trying to do a campaign about helping people, however people take it, I think it's a really cool way to go about it. So,
Well, I think it's authentic to me because I could, you know, everyone goes, as far as I've been part of the sport, everyone goes, you need to align yourself with some campaign or some charity or something like that. And I've never really felt like I've had any part of anyone's campaign or anything like that. So I've basically made my own. And road rage, it affects something like everyone has a story about it. Everyone has some sort of incident about it or multiple incidents about it. One of my instances was quite funny, actually. Actually, most of them are funny, but they're kind of weird when they happen. I left the Eastern Creek, it was about 2015, I think, 2015. I was driving to the airport, I was cruising along, I had a car full of people, and I was turning off, is it the M5? M5,
Yeah.
the massive ring road,
Yeah.
back into Sydney to go in the airport. And this lady pulled up beside me and was going batshit crazy at me, like crazy psychopath. And I'm like, what is going on with her? She winds down her window, pulls off her stiletto here, throws it at my rent-a-car.
Oof.
And I was like, what has gone on with her? Like, it's like I've just transformed, I've just somehow been involved in a situation that wasn't mine or something. I had no
It's
idea what I'd
comical
done.
when you're...
Yeah, well, like I was like, afterwards I started laughing. I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Like, is she going to stop and get a shoe, or
It's gone.
she just wanted to throw her shoe at my car? It just made no sense. I've had many instances like that in my life, but yeah, that one really sticks out.
Yeah, it's a strange one.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Oh, when you see things
it's
like people getting out and...
She probably could have caused an accident by doing that if I, you know.
It's ridiculous. Well, this thing, throwing things out of the car, if it freaked you out, if you weren't even watching and she pulls up and does that, you know,
Just give
you'd
myself
freak out,
shitless.
swing yourself out of the way. And,
Well, part of the problem is it's too easy to get a license in Australia. It's very, very easy. All you do is have to pass a silly written test, and then you get your L plates.
well,
And
they
then
just made it easier.
Have they? How?
Well, rather than having a test at every stage, they basically combine the tests at the they have your learner test, and then you have your learners to red P's, and then it's just you get them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I ended up getting my Fool's license without a test. Yeah. I went from green P's to Fool's no test.
See, how's that?
They
Well, when
just-
I did it, I did this like...
Because I had to see the logbook when you're in your L's and do 120.
Yeah. But everyone fudges that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Everyone fudges that,
What do you
don't
mean?
they? But when I got my when I went from greens to full, no, it was red peas to full green peas, because I was New South Wales as well.
Yeah.
I had to do this silly computer test that
Yes.
was just...
Where you tap the screen.
Yeah,
for hazards.
yeah, tap the screen when you want to brake. Like, how's that simulating something?
Oh,
real?
I figured out, because on the test one, because they give you on the website like a
practice one.
like a practice.
Yeah.
I figured out you can tap it as long as it's before
Yes.
any form of hazard.
Yeah.
So if it starts and you tap it, most of them will pass you and like,
Yes.
give you a correct.
Yeah.
Bit of a, you know, they could probably improve.
In Germany or places like that, you actually got to know the car, know how to change the wheel.
Yeah,
know
I
when
was-
you break down, what goes
They've
on. Know
introduced
how
that
to,
in like Iceland and stuff like that.
yeah,
recently,
so that's one of the problems in Australia, along with many. But
Oh, it's surprising how many people don't know how to change a wheel or a tire.
no. To be honest, I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah. You remember the first time I pulled it on the side of the road. It's like, oh, I guess I'll just figure it out as I go. You got like the handbook open. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Need to call NRMA.
No sense. I started doing it myself. It's like, well, I'm not going to wait 45 minutes. You start jacking up the car and taking off the wheel. Pulls up as I'm putting on.
Oh, really?
the spare. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? He goes,
That's my job.
Yeah, he's like, you have to wait for me and do all this. So it's at the point where he just needs to tighten the nut, and then I could probably have just gone. He's like tightening it. He's taking it off and putting it back on, and like refilling it. And
Really?
yeah, he just had to show that he could do something.
You should have gone and helped someone else.
Yeah. He's like, I've got to make my vehicle block yours so no one can run into you. I was like, fair enough, but hey. Just kind of switching lanes a little bit. But one thing I'm always curious about is reaction. You know, I think about, you know, times I've crashed on the road, and you think about reaction times and that kind of thing. And you've taken that to, obviously, you're taking it to a whole new level when you're driving at 300 an hour, or, you know, however you're going. And how do you find you kind of train yourself into that, and what's the mentality around that? Because
Train myself into racing cars.
well, look, that's a bit of a, when you put it like that, it's
Yeah.
It's a bit
well,
broad,
for
but-
fun. The funny thing is, it's all I've ever done my whole life.
Yeah.
I started racing karts when I was 6 years old, back in 1991. Very long time ago for me, anyway. You probably weren't even born then.
Nope.
Exactly right. So yeah, 6 years old, racing around tracks, and then that's all I've basically known. 28 years later, I'm racing full time. Made a hobby into a profession, and yeah, to be honest, I had no.
It's just been ingrained in you
Well,
all the way
I
through.
had no plan B.
Yeah.
It's always been my first plan, and I don't have another backup plan.
Awesome.
Yeah, well,
It's a good
is
way
it?
to go for, well, look, I
They-
mean,
they
in a
always
way
say-
of forcing you to commit to something, I guess
Yeah.
you have to, but
It's probably the only thing I've committed to in life.
yeah, cool. You know, do you ever wonder if you were gone, oh, actually, I could probably go do a business degree or something like that, some weird thing that would have pulled away from that, so it's probably...
Yeah, exactly.
you know, for
Yeah,
you, it's
I've always
better that you've had that focus.
I've always had the sole focus of being a race car driver,
Yeah, awesome.
and then all this stuff is kind of all the curb stuff. It's just an add-on, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's the result, it's the...
Yeah, because you know,
result.
driving racing cars, driving on the road, it's kind of linked
Yes.
without the speed. But you know, like you said, the reaction time stuff, being aware on the road is a big thing that most people miss. Being aware in the race car, it's the same. I actually train my reaction times or test them before every race, just to figure out how I'm going to go. because I can basically correlate my reaction speed to how my performance is on the weekend.
Yeah, okay, that makes
if I'm
sense.
sick,
Yeah.
they're not so good, and my performance on the weekend isn't so good. So over the course of many years, you learn when your reaction times are down how to get yourself back up, and that's one of the keys I've learned. Only probably over the last 4 years I've done that.
And I guess alongside that, you've got the kind of fatigue factor, and that
Yes.
talking about on the road as well as on the track.
Yes.
Fatigue's
a big
massive race. It's
big
going to be.
problem.
So when you're driving, how are you dealing with that? What kind of?
Well, it's all about your preparation,
Yeah.
because the weekends are so. Our race weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're really long days. You're at the track at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you don't leave till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So they're full on days. Besides driving the car, you're doing a lot of talking, planning, talking, pretending to be happy. Well, not pretending, you're trying to be extra, I suppose, to try and give.
Well, it's your public event.
It's the best part of you, which is, it does take it out of you, and you do that for 4 days in a row. You've spent on the Monday your cactus. So food is a big one. Really have to look after yourself, eat well. I find within myself, if I eat bad foods, like if I eat pasta or too much carbohydrates, I get a big sugar spike, and then I'll be looking somewhere just to lie down for half an hour after. Or if I eat too much sugar, same reaction. So that's knowing yourself, and most people can sort of deal with that, but I can't. I have to eat like high fat foods, high protein foods.
I guess you've got to find what works for your body as well.
Exactly.
We were talking about it earlier. What you've been given and what you're kind of working on.
Well, you're a power lifter.
I try.
You try, so you understand food is a big part of the energy system.
Oh, it's
and how your body uses it.
When you tone it into what works for you specifically, and how you have that. Like if I took what you were eating and if we swapped diets, it'd be completely different wavelengths. We'd be able to do.
I might be able to put on some weight.
You might be able to. I mean, I don't know if you want to. I don't know how much it'd help you, but it's completely. It's one of the super interesting things for me, I find, is how diet's affecting nutrition.
The big part is in our sport is the heat.
Yeah.
The heat tears through us. At the start of the year, the first race of the year was Adelaide 500, so there's two 250k races, which are about 2 hours each day. And I think both days were over 45 degrees outside. Yeah. So for us inside the cabin, it's 25 degrees above that. So it's 60, 65, 70 degrees in the car. It was just unbearable. And it's basically you sit in a sauna for 2 hours. Yeah. And you got to concentrate for 2 hours straight, dealing with speed, other people, the car's moving around heaps, you're working hard. You can lose up to 5 kilos of just water in 2 hours. And
so the hydration matter.
Yeah, the hydration would be very big.
Huge.
Yeah. So nutrition's all part of it.
People probably don't think about
how hot it is.
What the nutrition's like, just for someone who's driving, compared to people think about somebody who's playing soccer or something like that. That's not something I was immediately thinking of.
No one knows about it. We're in this closed environment with this massive engine in front of us that's super hot, and then the exhaust pipe, it's super hot. The gearbox is super hot. The brakes are super hot. Everything's super hot, and there's no insulation. There's no carpet. Yeah. It's just raw metal, and we have cool suits and other devices try and help us, but they only sort of mask the problem. They don't fix the problem. Yeah, okay. But when they do fail, we generally fail too. So I've had that a couple of times in my life where the cool suits fail, and you've got this body of water that sits on you that pumps through this like esky looking thing beside you that sort of cycles cold water through your body, and it's failed before, and you end up being like a little tea kettle because this water sits on, like this body of water sits on your body.
Just acts as a cozy.
Yeah, the water gets hot, and then it starts heating you up, and then you're heating the water up, the water's heating you up, and then you can pass out. People have passed out before.
That's awful.
You don't last very long when it's like that.
I was going to say, when you've done that, if you had to kind of pull in and
I've got out. Yeah,
you had to get out.
Sometimes you can get through it. That's happened once before at Homebush. I think it was it must have been a 30-degree day or something. My cool suit failed, and at the first pit stop I got to cut the lines to drain all the water out, and so I could just get through the race. But I was no good. I was mentally gone. They say if you lose 10% of water weight, you lose you lose 1% of water weight in your body. So for me, I'm 60, say 70 kilos. If I lose 700 mils of water, you lose 10% brain function. So yeah, if you lose 1.5 litres, I lose 20. I'm done. 20% brain function down.
Oh, didn't even think
There
about
you
the heat problem.
No, there you go.
Huge problems. So I mean,
that's why you do these podcasts to
you've
find
got to
out.
reveal the information.
Yeah, you start talking and then topics come and
So I guess, coming on to that, I mean, I had a question of
drink your water, people.
drink your water, stay hydrated. But I guess that leads into, I was really curious to know what kind of scary moments you had on track. Is there something that stands out in your mind as, like, shit, I could have
Hurt myself.
really hurt myself here. Talking about passing out while not having a heat suit on, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Obviously a massive problem.
That's a scary moment, yeah, definitely. You're not thinking very well, but you're not really thinking about the scary part. You're just thinking of just trying to make it through. The scary parts is when it's pissing down rain, and say it's Sandown. There's a lot of standing water on the track.
Yeah.
And I remember, when was it? About 2011. We had a wet race there, and you're going 250 k's down the front straight of Sandown, and it's white out. You can't see anything. I couldn't even see the car. The car has like little rain lights in front of them, illuminated rain lights. I couldn't see that. That was gone, and the car was only probably 3 meters in front of me. So what I end up doing is looking at the side of the track to find out reference points and stuff. And even being like a real competitive, pig-headed person, you go, this is so dangerous. You start rolling out the throttle. You have to, otherwise you got no idea what's coming up. That kind of scares you. Like this.
When you got that zero visibility.
Zero visibility.
Yeah, no.
It's just literally you can't see anything in front of you, and you're going as fast as you can too, which is stupid. They're kind of the scary moments. Otherwise, most of the time it's pretty controlled. All the tracks are pretty safe. Street tracks are probably generally a little bit scarier because if you stuff up there, you're going into a concrete fence, and the concrete fence ain't moving. You're moving. You sort of form around the concrete.
Yes,
or whatever.
It stops you.
Yeah, it does stop you. It stops
very
you
well.
very, very fast, and that's the biggest thing when you crash is the G stop.
Well, that's where
stop.
it leads into brain injury at that point.
Yes,
because your brain doesn't stop moving.
It keeps going. A lot of inertia keeps going.
Yeah. But
I've had some big crashes like that,
Yeah.
but luckily I'm still here.
Hey, look, well, your last big crash wasn't for a while, was it?
2014 was my last big one. It was at Gold Coast, and that was probably a 30-odd G impact.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Stuffed the car, and you're quite sore the next day.
I'd say that throw you out for a bit. You had to take a bit of time off from that one?
Well, no, I had to. That was on the Saturday race, and the boys worked through all the night, fixed the car, and I raced the next day.
Yeah, okay, sure. That's fine.
I think we did all right
Did
that
you all
next
right,
day. Yeah, can't remember.
Yeah.
It's funny when you be
can't
part of
remember.
this. When you be part of this circus, it all just rolls into one.
One big race.
Yeah.
You
You remember parts of it, but
yeah, you'd have your significant moments. But
yeah, but when you sit back down and watch the race again, say from 5 years ago, you actually go, "Oh, I remember all this now."
You can't think of like lap number.
Yeah,
10
no.
Yeah. But you see some of the crashes are huge, and
Yep.
not just in the V8, but across the racing world. And it's one of those things that's just starting to be talked about, is the brain injury side of sports. And I think American football is one of the biggest ones, or even footy here,
Yep.
with the impacts people are taking.
Yep. It's not good.
And it's just one of those things that people start to find out later on in life. So
Yep.
it's an interesting one that people are actually talking about now and trying to mitigate and trying to figure out what the best ways around it are.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool.
I always research all this stuff, and I'm reading a book at the minute called Genius Food.
Yeah.
And it's about trying to keep your brain intact to stop Alzheimer's and dementia and all that sort of disease.
That kind of stuff.
I think that's part of it.
I mean, stopping all the mental diseases, apart from some of it maybe being hereditary, but
Possibly.
my grandfather's got Parkinson's, and he was diagnosed 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. He's actually stayed pretty stable because he just, as soon as he found out, he just made sure he was hitting, staying active, and he's always been someone to do something with his hands. So it's just maintaining all your previous actions. Seems to have stayed him to a pretty steady point.
It's pretty good. Well done.
And yeah, it's super interesting when you.
You should recommend the book to him.
I might do actually.
It's called Genius Food. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to read.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I'll flick it through to him because that's one that's.
And then you can't eat potato chips or anything like that. So they're
He's-
cooked on this
he loves
oil.
a bit of junk food, doesn't
Does he? Yeah.
It's old people thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Once
is.
you get to 70, who cares?
Well, apparently they lose their taste buds, so nothing really tastes like it does. So that's why they've got to have
intense flavours.
Yeah, super sweet food.
So super rich people like caviar. Keeps it going.
Does it? I've never tried it.
No.
Is that nice?
I don't think I've wanted to try it.
Nah.
No.
Yeah. Isn't it fish?
Yeah, it's fish eggs.
Fish eggs, yeah. I can't really eat fish. I'm allergic to it.
Probably the eggs won't be good for you then. Either.
No.
No. You can have the cracker and the champagne, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's not as interesting, is it?
Yeah. It's not, maybe the champagne side.
Not dry cracker? You're not,
Nah.
not for you?
No, I'm not really a cracker person. I'd rather eat just steak and vegetables.
Just keep it
Simple.
straight up. Yeah. Dave, so how can people support the Curb the Rage campaign?
So they can support the Curb the Rage campaign by hanging our little chill air fresheners that we've made. And tag us on Facebook or Instagram, whatever you want. And yeah, that's the first part, is to generate the conversations about it.
Raise the awareness.
Raise the awareness, exactly, yeah.
Awesome.
And then we move to plan B.
Plan B. Sounds a bit more
Which is
ominous when you just
get underpants.
get underwear.
Yeah.
That's a good start. I mean,
That was
it made
always
me
my
angry.
plan B, is get underpants. Did you watch South Park?
I haven't watched that
That was
much.
the Underpants Gnomes?
I've just started, Netflix just put it on.
Oh, really?
So I've started watching it from the start now because I've just been so...
It's the funniest. Or two smells, peppermint and lavender. Both are meant to
calming.
Both are meant to be calming, yes. And they were the kind of the best smelling ones as well.
Pretty serious photo of you.
I know, it does.
I'll be happy with that.
Do I really look like that? I suppose that is me, isn't it?
From where I'm sitting, it looks alright.
Well,
Looks
that's
the
all right.
same. So Dave, why do you like Jack's Tyres as a business?
Was colourful,
It is colourful.
very colourful.
yellow.
For starters. Very yellow, yes. One of my good friends had a store back in the day, Cam McConville, and he was my first ever enduro. I was his co-driver for the Bathurst 1000 and Sandown races, and then he went on after Supercars to run a Jack's Tyre store, so I've got a good association there. But their in-store performances, like their staff, they're very friendly, very helpful, and their wait times are very good. And they have a big range of brands, tyre brands as well. So anything from high-end stuff to the low-range stuff.
Yeah, cool. So what do you consider to be the most important thing for safety in your personal car or your family?
The most important thing, I think, for safety on the road use is definitely tyres. Tyres are, what gives the cars grip. It makes things safe, especially when it's been raining.
Yep.
A lot of people drive around on shitty old tyres.
Aquaplane out.
And mate, it's so dangerous. I've driven cars that have very old tyres, and it is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Even for someone like me, with like a very high skill set of driving a car, it can be very dangerous in the wet. But also, especially like a lot of young kids, they up-spec their cars. Generally, engines are the ones they up-spec the most, and they forget about doing suspension and brakes. And the handling of the vehicle, the braking of the vehicle, the performance braking, I suppose, is where you can probably save the most life. Going fast is all good, but you've got to be able to stop the car as well. Yeah. So that's, especially young kids, they stuff that one up. They do the engine first and then worry about the rest of it. They should do the brakes and suspension first.
Make sure it stops before you make it go
Exactly
fast.
right. Yeah, they miss that critical part.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks for coming in, Dave.
No worries. Thanks,
Really-
Lewis. Thanks
really
for having me,
appreciate
man.
the
Love
chat.
talking to you.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to check out the Curb the Rage campaign, it's www.curbtherage.com.au. Please head to jackstyres.com.au for all your car servicing, tyres and wheel needs. You can book it into any of our 87 stores across the East Coast and in Western Australia as well. We don't just do the tyre and wheels, we can help you with servicing. If you need your auto, you need your brakes, you need suspension, feel free to give our stores a ring and they'll give you a hand.